Welcome to our Tiny House Build series episode 3. In the last episode, we finished building 14 joist beams and set most of them onto a 8 by 21 feet perimeter. In this episode, we will be putting on front and back main support beams onto the metal frame of the truck, and that will set a strong foundation for the joists to sit on. That's how far we got today.
Alright guys, Liam here. I'm just working on these little frame spacers to give us the right height from the floor to the frame of the truck. And it was very complicated, required lots of cutting. I don't have all the tools that I want up here to do all that either. And it's very frustrating because the end here and then the other side are supposed to actually sit down onto the frame. But I actually finally got them. What it was there was some rust on the inside of these channels that I wasn't properly accounting for, and so once I took the angle grinder and ripped all that off, and a couple of other things and a bit of hammering to be honest, it's sitting down pretty good at the front and back. There's a little gap close to on both of them, close to this cross member here, but I think it's because the frame is maybe slightly bent. The wooden beams themselves are fairly straight actually. Right on. We'll show you guys some more in a moment. Right now I am just going to connect these frame spacer beams to this rear main beam with some cross members. Right on. See you guys later. Alright guys, so we have our rear beams that are sitting on the frame of the truck and the rear beam that is kind of sitting off of the end of the truck. And the problem is that because they're two separate beams that are just sitting beside each other, they're going to bend independently of each other. So we need to lock them into place against each other really tightly so that they'll be like one long piece of wood that's kind of shaped like a Y. So I made these pieces that fit really snugly into place. There are two pieces that go along the back to join the center piece of wood and the outer piece of wood. And then there is one piece that goes along the front this way with the big beam sitting in here, and then it will be glued and screwed to the frame rail pieces up here. Now you guys might also notice that I channeled out sections here and here, and that is for when the wood sits into place rather than just having it sit against a flat surface like this. You'd only have this much surface area of glue, whereas the idea with doing this is that we have this much area and this much area to glue, and then they'll also be screwed into place so that, and clamped probably. I have some clamps sitting over there so that as the glue sets up, it will provide a very strong structural joint. And I was really careful while doing all of this to make sure that the beams are going to line up straight to each other with these in place. Shall we go take a look outside? All right, hey guys, so we're here over at the actual truck building site. Actually, let me step out of the way so you guys can actually see what we're doing here. This is what I was talking about, where there is a rear main beam that sits off the end of the truck. It's supported at 2 points on the truck bodywork. I'm largely using the truck bodywork to support a lot of weight on the house because it doesn't look that strong, but it's really, really strong. It's a lot thicker than like car bodywork, realistically. And it's very heavy, like picking up like little sheets that I cut off is like super heavy. But this is the rear main beam. It's treated, and the front main beams. Now, if you step over here, I'll show you guys the front main beams. That was one that took a bit of time. We didn't show it very well for the video, but I had to cut out lots of little channels because there's these metal channels that are welded to the frame and riveted. So I decided it was probably not warranted to remove them, but took me quite a bit of time to keep removing material enough to get those sitting down nicely on the frame. And I want them sitting down nicely so that we have an even floor, basically an even basis for our floor. And once we're done making all of this sort of subframe, the floor will just set it down and attach it to this, so that then we have one big floor structure for the house. Up here, what I'm doing that I was referring to is I'm trying to join these three beams, so that they're all straight, coplanar, and I made these little pieces to join them together. So if you step back here, I can show you guys in a little bit more detail. I have to be careful here because this floor is suspended a little bit, so I will try not to get underneath it too much, or to not sit permanently underneath one of the floor beams. Here's these pieces. You can see I routered out a little bit of material here just to get a little bit more glue area, I thought, and a bit of a smoother surface. And so these just kind of fit in there. And I measured everything out. It looks like I routed out a bit too much material here, actually. But I measured all of this out so that when we have them all in place, it straightens up this rear main beam, because right now they're not coplanar and they're not and they're off angle from each other. So once all this is in, I think they'll be coplanar and in line with each other. This is the rear one. There's one on either side, and they're going to be screwed here as the glue sets up, and screwed using pocket joints on an angle into this rear main beam. And then where is the other piece? Here we go. This big front one, I needed to router some little recesses here for these channels, and then I routed a little cavity into both of them so that they fit nicely and provide a little bit more glue area. Let's see here. Yeah, it'll fit like that, sort of. Yeah, and that's how it works. Hey guys, we just got some serious rain over the last couple days, and we had the thing tarped up with big pools of water in the tarps, and we just removed that. But anyway, a couple days ago we had some extra time without rain, so we managed to reinforce the floor a bit since you last saw it. You guys remember that it was this large platform, and I don't know if I showed it on video, but I was able to walk out to the far end here and it wouldn't break or bend all that much, but it was kind of wobbling and shaking. So I want to do a couple things to eliminate that and to reinforce a couple other spots on the floor. To stop that wobbling and shaking, we added a little triangle brace down here that directs the force of the rear main beam into the bodywork of the truck here. It's very thick, nice thick steel here. So I routed in some nice channels to give lots of glue area. I didn't do a perfect job, and I pocket screwed all this stuff in. You can see I'm doubling up 2x4s in a lot of spots here just to give me that extra strength. But now by having this little triangular brace here, it not only strengthens it a bit, but it also reduces that vibration and movement. And furthermore, the house is going to be even stronger once we have walls and the roof on it. But this is just for now because we need to work on here. And the other thing I added is up top, these extra braces. These are also just some 2x4s that are doubled up. And what this is for is that I was able to walk out to the back of the truck, but because it's just a single beam in the middle, you can kind of get like, I imagine that if you step on the one end, you're going to get a lot of flexing. So I added these to interconnect all the sides of the joist here, so that if you stand on one of these joists, it delivers the force to all of them, which should prevent them from individually breaking. And also I added sort of like a little distribution beam up here to interconnect both of these new side beams and this rear main beam. Therefore, turning the rear main beam into sort of a torsion bar. So if you step on the rear corner of the truck, it has to twist that rear main beam, which it should be pretty resistant to twisting. And I did test it out. You can move it by putting all your weight on it, but I think you're just moving it like a couple centimeters. And once there's more stuff on the house, it should be more rigid. But at least you can stand out on the corner, which I tried. Now let's move up to the front of the truck. I'll show you guys here. You guys may have noticed as we were building that we had a very large gap in between two of the joists right above the wheel. Now, although it doesn't look like the wheels would interfere with a full-length joist, if I had a full-length joist just running across here, there would only be like a couple of inches of clearance above the wheels. And right now we have no weight on this truck, and it's not moving on like its suspension and stuff. But if you got moving around in the suspension and you had some weight on it, I would be concerned about hitting the joist with the tires. And so I used our prototype joist, which is only 4 feet long or something, to span that middle section. And then I just added a couple of like really cheap pieces of plywood just to give a little bit of support in here. This one I added so that it's sort of right in between the tires, so even if the tires come up, they shouldn't really hit it. And they're not that low either. But you know, when we're gonna have the 3/4 inch plywood for the floor on top of here, it's really going to firm up the entire floor structure because we have a lot of supports along the bottom. We have side to side supports, but once you have a support top and bottom, you're sort of forming like another big I-beam, and then these joists become like the web of the I-beam. And so you'll have to either compress or contract the top or bottom cap, sort of. So once we have more plywood on here, it'll be really rigid. But these though will just make it so that the floor doesn't really flex when you step out here, because we want to have this living space available to us.